Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of a new series of videos that I'm doing where I'm going to take a look at scenes from TV shows, from movies, and talk about the real history that happened behind those events. Talk about what they get right on the show, on the movie, fill in the gaps, maybe explain some things that are done differently than they really happened, those kinds of things. And today we're going to take a look at the very famous scene from Band of Brothers, the episode where they launch the attack on what they call Foy from the Bois Jacques. Now, first of all, right up front, got to say it's not Foy, it's Foy. That's how they pronounce it there in Belgium. The guys called it Foy because that's what it looks like. It's F-O-Y, so everybody calls it Foy. But if you go there, it's Foy. It's just like a lot of towns that different nationalities have different pronunciations. A great example of that is also in Belgium, where the natives call the town Ypres, but the French call it Ypres, and the British called it Wipers, and there's a lot of different pronunciations, but the natives call it Ypres, and they spell it I-E-P-E-R. So we're going to talk about the attack on Foy, Belgium, what really happened. We'll watch the scenes from Band of Brothers, and I'll kind of break down what's happening. First of all, just to show you where it is that we're talking about here, here's the town of Foy. And where it relates. This is the town of Bastogne here. And the 506 Parachute Infantry, which Easy Company was a part of, moved around a lot. They were in different areas. The very famous foxholes that everybody visits, that everybody talks about in the Bois Jacques, is this area right here. This is not where they attacked Foy from. So just to kind of give you some perspective here on all of this, they moved around a lot. Those foxholes are right here. That's the area that's fenced in. You have to have a ticket to the Bastogne War Museum to even get into those foxholes. And the area where Joe Toy and Bill Garnier will lose their legs because of the shelling, that is in this area right here where those foxholes are. The area where John Julian is killed on a patrol, that's down here. There's a set of railroad tracks that's right here, and that was in these woods here. The place where Hubler shoots himself in the leg from a Belgian pistol, not a Luger, that happened over in this area as well. But they moved back and forth, and by the time of the attack on Foy, they're actually in these woods over here. And these woods actually originally extended out to like right here. And so Winter's CP, his command post, would have been in this area. The area where they leave the woods to attack Foy would actually have been right here. And at the very end, I'll give you a link to my video from the site where I talk about the details. And a lot of what I'll share in this video is in that, but you'll see the sites that I'm talking about when we get into that. So they would have attacked from here. And the plan was basically, it involved other companies too, but for Easy Company, they had 3 platoons. And from left to right, it was 1st Platoon under Jack Foley. His first combat as commander of a platoon is this attack on Foy. 2nd Platoon didn't even have any officers. They were led by Carwood Lipton up the middle. And then 3rd Platoon was under Ed Shames, who was their only experienced combat commander as a platoon leader. And they were to attack just on the other side of this N30 and go in this way on the village. So that's what's happening when we see this all start.
You've got about 1/8 of a mile of open field to cross before we get down here in a Foy. There's very little cover, so you gotta move quickly. I've set up 2 sections of light machine guns at either end here. They'll give you covering fire. 3rd Battalion will come in from the east, led by I Company. That should cause distraction. D Company will be in reserve, but we shouldn't need them. The point is, you gotta move in there fast. Get in there before they can bring their mortars and artillery down on you. Clear?
Clear.
I'm relying on you. Get it done.
So the whole instruction is about move quick, right? You can't stay out in the open. You can't give stationary targets. You've got to move and surprise them. The Germans know the attack's coming. They have been in there for a while now. They've got artillery. They've got mortars. They've got everything, machine guns, everything set up and ready to defend. You have to move quick. So you see him there. He looks to the right and he's yelling to Shames, that's perfectly accurate. Shames is on the right side, Foley's on the left. I'm guessing that Lieutenant Dyke is going to be up the middle with Lipton's company or Lipton's platoon, and they're going to start moving and they're going to reach to where these haystacks are, is what they were, and they stop in the middle in these haystacks. So here you have a situation here, and this really did happen, where Foley's platoon on the left, they surround this farmhouse, this small, maybe like a shed or a house, small storage area, and there's some Germans inside who they get to surrender. But then one of the Germans reaches for something inside, and they just shoot them all and kill them. But originally they had captured these guys. And you have to understand something too about all of this, like anything in Band of Brothers or anything in war movies in general. For the sake of the story, for the sake of keeping things moving, they condense the timeline. Everything we're seeing happening in a matter of minutes here happened over a long period of time. In fact, Easy Company's attack on Foix was about a 6.5 hour long battle. It was not 5 or 10 minutes. And there's some things at the end that we'll talk about as well that they show happening after the battle that were really a part of the battle.
Wait a minute, where's Foley? Me got. Where the hell is first platoon?
So you see Foley there on the left, and they're dealing with this, and this all happened. And like I said, this is Foley's first command in an attack as commander of 1st Platoon. He had been an assistant platoon leader, and they lost a number of officers. They lose Buck Compton, I think, who had been in 2nd Platoon, which originally was Dick Winter's platoon. They had lost an officer who had shot himself in the hand. They had lost some others as well. And so Foley's a guy, he's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania originally. He's an ROTC grad and does pretty well from all indications in this attack.
Hold up! Keep moving! Easy Company! Hold up!
So you see him, he's yelling, keep moving, Lipton is, because he knows that's what you're supposed to do. But this is where he stops. Now there are some discrepancies in the eyewitness accounts as to what really happened here. There were at least a couple of guys in Easy Company who said that Shames was actually wounded in the shoulder. And you see at one point him kind of grabbing the shoulder, but there's no evidence to indicate in Band of Brothers that he's wounded. But only a couple of guys said that. But what everybody agrees on, whether it was because he was wounded or just because he panicked, is that he freezes. And the worst thing you can do when you've got to keep moving is to freeze and to be unable to make a decision. And this is where they get pinned down. He's saying he can't see Foley to the left. Shames is up over on the right side and maybe up on the other side of the hill from there. And I think it might have been Shames that he actually couldn't see, but maybe it was Foley. But now these guys are stuck out in the open.
Get out of there! Move!
So I think we should take cover.
Find some cover! Find some cover!
Now you see these guys are getting hit by mortars, machine guns.
Easy red, stand by for the 6. Foley! Foley, you get back here where I can see you! God damn it! 1st Platoon, hold up! Take cover! Martin! Come on, soldier, with me! With you, sir! Fire! Fall back! Fall back! Damn it! Go forward! Harry, on me! Move back! Pull back! Stay on my ass! Hold fast, 2nd Platoon! What are we doing, Lieutenant? Why are we stopped? Go back! Fall back!
Roger, kidnapped Paris.
Stand by for the 6. Lieutenant, what's the plan? I don't know!
You better get Dyke on that radio to me now.
Lieutenant, what's the plan? Captain Winter, what's the plan?
Okay, Foley.
Foley! You take your men on a flanking mission around the village and attack it from the rear!
So there was no way they were going to be able to attack it from the rear. Foley's mission was, however, to go around to the left, but to get around to the rear would have been impossible for them to do that. So I don't know if that's actually what he instructed him to do in that case, but they did freeze. They did become stationary targets, and this is where Winters is very famously going to start walking out there.
Do you want our platoon to go around and attack the village by itself?
We will provide suppressing fire!
We're gonna be kind of alone out there, Lieutenant.
We will provide suppressing fire!
Get going forward! I need to talk to Captain Winters, sir.
Sir. Okay, here it is. We're gonna flanking run around the back of the village, and we attack from the rear.
Ramirez, 2 guys, take them, go! Find some cover behind this table.
Go, go!
Shit! Jesus Christ.
Quick, move up, find cover!
Suppressing fire, now!
So one of the things that happens here, and they kind of change what happens a little bit here. Percani was actually behind a tree. It was the only place he could find any cover. But he couldn't completely hide behind the tree, so his butt was sticking out from behind the tree, and that was why he got shot in the butt, was because that was the only part of him the Germans could see. But that shows you the kind of intense fire that they're under.
I got you!
Give me some cover! How you doing, Bracani?
He shot me in my ass, boys! Stay down, stay down! I think we left 5 men! Can you locate?
The building with the caved-in roof!
With the caved-in roof! The building with the caved-in roof!
Sir, we are sitting ducks here! We have to keep moving! Got to keep moving!
So now this scene's a little different than it really happened. In his memoirs, Winters says, I mean, there's no indication that Colonel Sink was actually present for this scene right here. But Winters says that he took a couple of steps out, like you see here, but then he stopped himself. And he said, I remembered, I'm in command of this battalion. Technically, he was the XO of the battalion, but Colonel Strayer had been helping out at the regimental level. And so pretty much from the time he got moved up to XO, Winters had been running the battalion. So he said he took a couple of steps. He remembered, I'm in command of this battalion. I can't go out there. And he turned around and he said, the first officer I saw was Spears. It wasn't that he had Spears in mind already for the command. He said Spears was just the first guy he saw when he turned around. And so that's why, and he tells Spears exactly what he tells him on the show. He tells him to go out and relieve Dyke and take the attack in.
Captain Winters! God damn it, you do not go out there! Tell the battalion commander now, get back here!
I think I understand your attachment to Easy Company, but you...
Spears, get yourself over here! Get out there and relieve Dyke and take that attack on in! Go, soldier!
One, fall back, and 2 exposed!
Come on, Webb! Let's go, kid!
So, and again, this is something that really happened. Martin said that he went out to grab Webb and tell him to pull back, and Webb had been shot right between the eyes.
Hang on, Burko! Fire! I'm taking over.
Precision, listen!
Sir, most of the company is spread out here. First platoon tried to end around, but they're stretched out. They're pinned down by a sniper. I believe he's in the building with the caved-in roof.
All right, I want mortars and grenade launchers on that building till it's gone. When it's gone, I want first to go straight in. Forget going around.
Decisive leadership.
Yes, sir.
That's what they need. That's Shames. Now again, Shames is actually, they're on the far side of the main road, the N30 that's running between Bastogne. I think it's Bastogne, but it's running into Foy, into Foix. And he's on the other side of that road. So it makes it seem here like they're all connected. They're a little more spread out than that.
Janelli! Got it, Sarge!
Okay,
Now, it might seem like, oh, come on, there's no way they hit it on the first shot, but the mortar guys in Easy Company were known to be that good, and there were times when they did nail things on the first shot like that. By this point in the war, they fought in Normandy, they fought in Holland, they've been fighting in Bastogne. They know their jobs, and Malarkey, who I think is in command of one of these mortar squads, they're really, really good at this.
Soon, move out! Move out!
So now you got Foley leading them in.
Get on your goddamn feet! Fire! Come on, move out!
Fire!
Fire! Come on! Hey, you get over here!
Now, something I should mention here is that other than D-Day, when you have the company HQ section shot down on D-Day, this was the deadliest day for Easy Company. This is in January of 1945, and they lose more men killed on this day, on this attack on Foix, than they lose any other time in the war except D-Day.
Take the fire! Fire! Flight item, EC6, over!
What do you see, Lieutenant? Armored infantry! A lot of infantry!
They're supposed to be on the other side of the town. You see the side of them?
Radio, anything? No, sir! Sir, I think they're gonna pull back. If we don't connect with I, they're gonna slip away. That's right, wait here!
100% this really happened, and my friend Rob at History in Your Hand, if you check out his channel, he actually shows a video from this site where Spears makes his run, and a couple of us, when we were in Foix, we made the run too, but I didn't record myself doing it.
What the hell? Oh, Dixie, back here!
Everybody who saw this thought that it was insane that he wasn't killed.
At first, the Germans didn't shoot at it. I think they couldn't quite believe what they were seeing. But that wasn't the really astounding thing. The astounding thing was that after he hooked up with I Company, he came back.
Didn't send somebody else to do it, just did it on his own, the company commander. And listen, don't underestimate the importance of having a CO that you can have confidence in is going to lead you and lead you well, and especially who's going to risk his own life when needed. Because they had been under Dyke for a while now. Before that, there'd actually been, I know in Band of Brothers you see it go right from Sobel to Meehan to Winters to Moose Heiliger and then to Dyke. But in between Heiliger and Dyke, there were actually, or in between Winters and Dyke, there were several COs. Heiliger was the only one that really gets remembered, but and then he gets shot by friendly fire. But they've been under Dyke for a while now. They had no confidence in his leadership, and so to have that confidence again was huge for them. Now, one thing about this is when we see the sniper scene, that didn't really happen after the battle was over. The fighting was still going on, and it probably wasn't actually a sniper. You know, we tend to apply the word sniper to anybody who's in a hidden spot shooting by himself. So he wasn't really like a traditional sniper. He was just probably a random German soldier with a rifle. And the distance between where Shifty Powers is and where this happened, really not that far. It wasn't like this was a really long shot and Shifty was just like an incredible marksman. He was an incredible marksman, and there was somebody there recording with film, because Winters talks about this in his memoirs, where he talks about seeing this film crew, and they had been carrying guys, wounded guys, and one of the film crew guys who had not been doing anything to help goes over so he can be on camera helping carrying one of the stretchers, and he gets some blood on his uniform and it makes it really look official. And once the camera's off, he stops helping, and that just really irritated Winters that happened.
We took over 100 German prisoners. After that, it was mostly cleanup.
Now, all the pictures that you see of that church, the top of it has been blown off. I don't know if that had happened before the attack on Foix or after, because there is more fighting that happens here. There's a counterattack by the Germans that actually drives the Americans out, because once Easy Company takes Foix, they're relieved by other troops who take possession of the town. But then the Germans retake it, and then the 11th Armored has to come in and retake Foix again.
Let's go. Move it.
But there's a disabled German tank in a lot of the pictures in front of that church. So now we see the sniper.
Take cover. Take cover.
Now, it's a little confusing here because the way you see this, you see them taking cover behind this house, and you see the church behind them. Well, it's not exactly how this all goes down, but I understand they're using the same set to be different towns, and so they're kind of changing things around, so they're limited in what they can do. But let me show you what's really happening here. So the attack comes in from up here. So now they take the town. And here's what you have here. You see the marker here where it says bullet impacts Sergeant Shifty Powers. So here's the church right there. In fact, let's go ahead and go down to a street view of all of this so you can see what I'm talking about. So let's look the other direction because that's where this is. So actually, let me back up a little bit because I want to go back behind where this would have really taken place. So we're looking down this street now. The sniper is in this window right here. That's where he is. The church is over here to the right. This place where Shifty and Lipton are taking cover is actually right there. They're right behind this house right here. It's this wall right here that they're behind. And so they can just see above this other building. You can see the window right there. I don't know if this other building was there. I think it probably was because I think some American prisoners were executed in there earlier in the battle for Bastogne. And so Lipton's going to actually run from behind here to over behind this building. And then Shifty's going to peer around from this corner right here and shoot the guy in the window right there.
Come on, come on.
Where is he?
Shh. I can't see him. Second floor, building on the right. Don't miss Shifty.
It's actually on the left, not the right, the building. And so a couple of things happen here. First of all, the run wasn't that far for Lipton, and I do that run in my video about the attack on Foix. Two guys from Easy Company go up into that building, and they find that Shifty shot the guy right between the eyes. Like, that's how good of a shot he was. And again, it's not real far. In fact, we can probably go ahead and measure it. We can see exactly what the distance is here between where Shifty is standing. So let's go ahead and measure the distance here between that spot. Oh, didn't mean to do that. And right there, it is about 200 feet. So about, 60, 70 yards is the shot. It's still, listen, I couldn't have made the shot and shot the guy between the eyes. Shifty certainly could, though. So that happens, and then eventually the battle ends there. And just a couple other interesting things about Foix here. Right outside of town, you see here's the German cemetery where all the Germans that the guys from Easy Company were fighting against were buried. And then originally the guys from Easy and the others who died in this area would have been buried in this field right here. That was the original location of the American cemetery. And there's actually a little memorial there. To the fact that this was the original American cemetery in this field. The Germans are just on the other side of the hill there. Here's the town of Foix right there. And then they were eventually reburied in places like Henri Chapelle, the Ardennes American Cemetery, places like that. So yeah, it's about a 6.5 hour battle for Foix. I think like 4 or 5 guys from Easy ended up being killed in that. So it could have been a lot worse considering what happened. But that gives you a little more information on what really happened during the battle for Foix. I'll throw a video up here at the end, and you can check out my visit to the site, and I talk a lot more in detail about exactly what happened there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have another scene from a TV show or a film or a series that you'd like me to talk about the real history behind, let me know in the comment section below, and we'll try to do that when we can. Thanks for watching.